In the small, sleepy town of Jefferson, Mississippi, an eerie silence surrounds a crumbling mansion where Miss Emily Grierson has lived her entire life. Her story, her tragedy, is whispered through generations. And the house where she dwells, once stately and grand, now stands as a decaying relic of the Old South, its secrets waiting to be unearthed. A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner is not just a Southern Gothic tale. It's a chilling study of resistance to change, the weight of tradition, and the devastating consequences of isolation. Today we'll unravel the dark threads of Emily's life, a tale narrated by the collective voice of a town haunted, puzzled, and repelled by her choices. Emily Grierson is born to privilege. Her aristocratic family name is her identity, her inheritance, and her burden. From an early age, Emily's life is dictated by her domineering father, a man so obsessed with protecting the family's reputation that he sends away every potential suitor who dares to court her. For years, Emily lives under his suffocating thumb, her youth wasted and her prospects vanished. When her father dies, the town expects grief. Instead, they witness something unsettling. Miss Emily refuses to accept his death. For 3 days, she holds onto his corpse as though she could will life back into him. The townsfolk pity her, whispering about her loneliness and how she was robbed of happiness by her father's iron grip. Only after much pushing does she allow the burial to proceed. But with her father gone, Emily's isolation deepens. She becomes a recluse, residing in her mansion that grows shabbier with each passing year. The dusty corridors and peeling wallpaper are a reflection of her, the decay setting in, but the stubborn dignity of her aristocratic upbringing refusing to crumble entirely. Yet a spark briefly ignites in Emily's life when Homer Barron arrives in town. He is everything she is not, a working-class northerner. He is loud, charismatic, full of vibrant energy. Homer oversees a local construction project, and soon he and Miss Emily are seen riding together in the buggy, shocking the townsfolk. You see, Homer is neither the proper Southern gentleman nor the social equal they deem appropriate for her. Despite their judgment, there's a peculiar acceptance from the town. They hope this relationship will bring Emily out of her tragic solitude. But Homer, despite his charm, makes it clear that he has no interest in marriage. That revelation sends ripples of gossip through Jefferson. Soon Emily purchases arsenic from the local pharmacist, a moment that deepens the town's suspicions. Could this be an act of despair? Will she end her own life? No one intervenes. They simply watch, speculating behind closed doors. And then Homer Barron vanishes. There's no goodbye, no explanation, just an eerily quiet disappearance. Emily retreats even further into her home, her contact with the outside world limited to her loyal servant. Decades pass, and Miss Emily fades into obscurity, spotted only occasionally, her once dark hair now streaked with grey. When Emily dies many years later, her funeral draws the curiosity of the entire town. For Miss Emily had not just been a woman, they saw her as a symbol, a relic of the Old South, clinging steadfastly to its traditions, refusing to adapt in a world that moved forward. After the funeral, the townspeople, driven by morbid curiosity, explore the upstairs room no one has entered for decades. They break down the door and step inside. And what they find is horrifying. The room is frozen in time, the bed is dressed for a wedding night, but lying upon it is the decayed corpse of Homer Barron. Next to him, an indentation in the pillow, with a single strand of Emily's grey hair resting on it. In that moment, the grotesque truth emerges. Emily, unable to bear the thought of losing Homer, used the arsenic to kill him. For years, she has kept his body close, sleeping beside his lifeless form, a desperate, twisted attempt to claim the love and control that had always eluded her. The story's final revelation forces the readers and the townsfolk to look beyond their judgment. Was Emily a monster, or was she simply a tragic victim of an unforgiving world, shaped by patriarchy, loneliness, and the pressures of a collapsing social order? A Rose for Emily is a haunting allegory of resistance to change. Emily is not just a character, she is a symbol of the Old South, clinging to crumbling traditions as the modern world encroaches. She represents alienation, estranged both from the town's progress and from her own humanity. Her decaying mansion is a reflection of herself, unbearable, unyielding, waiting for time to pry open its secrets. Emily's life is shaped by patriarchal and economic forces beyond her control. Her father's strict control over her romantic prospects leaves her unmarried and financially dependent. After his death, she struggles with economic decline, unable to pay taxes and relying on outdated social privilege. Her extreme actions toward Homer can be seen as a desperate attempt to regain control in a world where her power as a woman is otherwise limited. The story highlights the rigid class divisions of the post-Civil War South. Emily's aristocratic status once granted her privilege, but as the Southern social order collapses, she becomes an isolated relic of the past. Her romance with Homer, a working-class Northerner, threatens these class boundaries, suggesting the erosion of aristocratic dominance. However, Emily ultimately asserts control over Homer in a grotesque way, ensuring that he remains hers, even in death.